Good morning, dear sangha. Today is the 14th of July, 2012, and we are on the beginning of the second week of our Plum Village summer opening. This is the 30th summer opening of Plum Village. And this summer opening is a kind of celebration. We are very happy that you have come and celebrate the 30th anniversary of Plum Village. This morning we will begin with the chanting. The chanting is a practice. Chanting and listening to the chanting. We practice mindful chanting, mindful listening. The monks and the nuns are going to chant the name of Boddhisattva Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva of deep listening, the Bodhisattva of great compassion. Every one of us has the capacity to understand and to love. There is a seed of compassion in every one of us. And the chanting and the listening can help touch the seed of compassion in every one of us. So the seed of compassion, the seed of love can manifest as a kind of energy. And the energy of love, the energy of compassion can heal us, can nourish us, can help us suffer less, can allow us to begin to touch the happiness of being alive. We have the seed of compassion, of understanding, of mindfulness in us. And the chanting, the listening will help generate the energy of compassion, of love, of understanding, of peace in us. We also have the seed of suffering in us. We have our own suffering deep in us. And the suffering in us sometimes manifests as energy. And when suffering manifests like that, it's difficult for us to be happy, to be joyful. And the practice helps us to how to handle the suffering in us. The suffering in us carries within itself the suffering of our father, of our mother. It's not only our own suffering, it is also the suffering of our father, our mother, transmitted to us. And also the suffering of many of our ancestors. So the suffering in you is not just your own suffering, it is the suffering of your ancestors, of your parents. And the suffering in us also reflects the suffering of our people, of our country, of our society. And according to the teaching of the Buddha, if we understand the nature, the roots of our suffering, and then compassion and love can arise. Understanding suffering help compassion to arise. And therefore, when we chant, when we listen to the chanting, we have to go home to ourselves and get in touch with the suffering inside and try to hold the suffering inside tenderly. And this is our practice. We can do that without fear. Because when we practice mindful breathing, we generate the energy of mindfulness, concentration. And when we have the energy of mindfulness and compassion, we have something in order to recognize and embrace our suffering. If we don't have the energy of mindfulness, the suffering may overwhelm us. But we are practitioners. That is why breathing in and breathing out mindfully and allow our body to be relaxed, we can generate the energy of mindfulness of breathing, of sitting, the energy of concentration. And with that energy, we can take care of our suffering. We can hold our suffering. My dear suffering, I know you are there in me. I am here to take care of you. And you just accept your suffering and you hold your suffering dearly like that. And there are people around us who are practicing mindful breathing. Many of us know how to practice. And together we can generate a collective energy of mindfulness. And if you want, you can make use of the collective energy of mindfulness to help embrace, hold your own suffering. The collective energy of mindfulness generated by the practice of breathing. You say, dear Sangha, dear brothers and sisters in the practice, here is my pain, here is my sorrow, here is my despair. Alone, I am not strong enough to hold it. So please help recognize the suffering in me, touch the suffering in me, and help embrace the suffering in me. You open your heart, you allow the collective energy of the Sangha to penetrate into your body, into your heart, in order to help embrace the pain, the sorrow, the fear. And if we can do that, we will suffer less in 7 minutes. That is taking refuge in the Sangha. Allow the Sangha to embrace you, to transport you, to release the energy of suffering. This is a very important practice. In the world, people don't know how to do that. They don't like to go home to themselves because they are afraid of getting in touch with suffering. So what they do is to try to run away from their own suffering by the way of consumption. You consume internet, you consume music, you consume food, you consume conversation, and that is not because we need these things, but we use them in order to cover up the suffering inside. So, for instance, when we are sad, when we are angry, when you are lonely, you don't know how to take care of your sadness, your loneliness, your anger. So you go and open a refrigerator and take something out to eat. You are not hungry at all. You don't need to eat. But because you don't know how to handle the suffering in you, that is why you need to eat in order to forget your suffering. The same time is true when you listen to music, read newspaper, watch television and so on. We are seeking to cover up the suffering, running away from our own suffering. And that is what people do in society. They do not have the courage to go home and take care of their own suffering. But in this practice, we do the opposite. We practice mindful walking, we practice mindful breathing to generate the energy of mindfulness and concentration. And with that kind of energy, we go home without fear. And we say, my dear suffering, my dear despair and anger, I know you are there. I am home to take care of you. So while breathing in and out in mindfulness, you get in touch and you embrace tenderly your own suffering like a mother embracing her baby that is sick. And a few minutes of practice like that can help calm down. So the monastics, when they chant the Namo Avalokiteshvara, homage to the Bodhisattva of deep listening, for the first time they chant, they go back and touch the suffering within themselves. Because we monastics, we still have our own suffering. And our suffering has the suffering of our father, our mother in it, our ancestors in it. Getting in touch with suffering, trying to understand the roots of our suffering. And then when they chant it for the second time, they become aware of the suffering of the people around them, in front of them, behind them, on the left, on the right. Because everyone has suffering inside. And being aware of the suffering in people around us also help the energy of compassion to arise. When you see people suffering, you are not angry at them anymore. When you look and you see the suffering in them, you don't want to punish. You are not angry at them anymore. You want to do something or to say something to help them suffer less. And that is compassion. And if you have compassion in your heart, you suffer less right away. And the way you look at him, look at her, show that you have compassion in your eyes. And looking at people with the eyes of compassion, you don't suffer. And the other person doesn't suffer either when you look at them like that. So compassion is very healing. And compassion can be born by touching, getting in touch with the suffering and understand it. And every time we understand our own suffering, we can understand his or her suffering much more easily. And that is why embracing our suffering first, and then recognizing the suffering in the other person. And this is the basic teaching of the Buddha. The healing, transformation, and happiness can be born just by getting in touch with suffering, trying to understand the nature and the root of that suffering, and allow compassion to arise. A person who has compassion in him or in her can be a happy person. Without love and compassion, it's not possible to be happy. You are completely cut off. You cannot relate to any other human being. And that is why compassion is the ground of happiness. And when the monastics chant the name for the third time, they reach out and become aware of the suffering in the world. In many countries where the war is going on, where people still got in the conflict and killing each other, there's social injustice, war, poverty, oppression, everywhere. And if you get in touch with that, compassion also arises and help heal you and heal the world. And that is why this chanting is not exactly prayer. Because there is a seed of compassion, understanding in us. the chanting and the listening help us touch off these energies, and they will be healing us. And so the Bodhisattva of compassion is not outside on the clouds, but is in us, the energy of understanding and compassion. And the chanting and the listening can help getting in touch with the Bodhisattva of compassion in us. So let us sit relaxingly and stop our thinking, because the thinking will bring us elsewhere. The thinking is not helpful in this case. Our body is here, but because we think, our mind will be elsewhere. That is why we stop the thinking by focusing our mind on our breathing. Breathing in, I know I am here with the sangha. And this is not a thought, this is a mindfulness. Mindfulness of breathing, mindfulness of being in the here and the now. And we can allow our body to relax. There is tension and pain in our body. We have allowed tension and pain in our body to be accumulated several years. We can get sick very easily because of the tension in our body. And that is why while listening to the chanting, we breathe in and out and become aware of our body. Breathing in, I know my body is here, full of tension and pain. Breathing out, I release the tension in my body. And if you relax like that, the collective energy of mindfulness generated by the sangha will be able to penetrate into your body. If you are stiff, if you struggle, and then the energy cannot penetrate into your body. But if you relax, you allow your body to be open, and then the collective energy of the sangha can penetrate into your body and help release the tension in your body. And after a few minutes, you feel lighter, freer, more pleasant with your body. And when the tension is released, the amount of pain in your body will be reduced, because the pain, including chronic pain, is in function of tension. If the tension diminishes, and then the pain will be reduced, and we will feel better after some time of listening. So to sit and to allow our body to be relaxed, and to focus our attention on the feeling and not thinking, this is very important practice. And if you have some pain, sorrow, anger and fear in your heart, you may like to open your heart so that the collective energy of mindfulness can penetrate into your heart and help embrace it. Here is my suffering, my pain. Please help embrace it for me. And we allowed ourselves to be transported and embraced by the river of the sangha. We are not a drop of water. We allowed ourselves to be the river. We go like a river. Sitting in the sangha, I do not remain a drop of water. I become a river. I allow myself to be embraced, guided, transported by the sangha. You surrender to your sangha. And if you can surrender to your sangha, to allow your sangha, the collective energy of the sangha, to embrace your pain, and you will feel lighter in a few minutes of listening. And if you have someone in the family who is sick, who cannot come to Plum Village, you can very well send this energy to him or to her at home. by thinking of that person, having his image here, or call his or her name silently, and then this energy of mindfulness and compassion will be channeled to him or to her right in this moment. And at home or in the hospital, they will feel better also. So please join in the practice. Sit up relaxingly and allow ourselves to be in the here and the now, breathing in and out. Stop thinking, just become aware of our body, now in breath, out breath. Cô Định Nghiêm có lên đứng trước này. Định Nghiêm.